And for me, I recognized I would dive deep into things that I was passionate about. I mean, really deep, passionately deep, obsessed. My first obsession was classical piano, of all things. App I call living in the gap of ambiguity. It's a fog around you where you can't quite pinpoint where to go next. You look at that and you think, man, he's starting to get healthy. He's getting his money right. He's getting his body right. He's getting his mind right. That's an unhealthy obsession. Just thinking, I really think I need to get into real estate. I really think I need to get into music. I really think we need to make some content. The reason why this is important to recognize is so many of us are trying to reap what we've been sowing when in reality, the field is still dry.
Double down on yourself. You are the asset, not the real estate.
But you got to get yourself right before you can get the business right.
We're back with more Evan Stewart. If somehow you haven't already seen Evan's backstory on my YouTube channel, you need to jump back and watch this. He's one of the most impressive people I've ever met. 26 years old, he built a $35 million company and has already exited it. He's built another company before that, and he's in the process of building his Obsessed Academy. And when you get to hear Evan talk about being obsessed, and we did an entire video on that, so you guys totally need to watch Evan break down for you how he perceives the word obsessed and how he's really making the most of his life through that lens. Anyways, amazing videos. You guys definitely need to check them out. But in today's video, what I've done is we've taken a snippet from our amazing Cashflow Tribal Summit event that we did here live on YouTube, a 2-day free event. We just wanted to host the best Canadian real estate party possible. But we were fortunate enough to have Evan call in all the way from Texas and just share with us some of his perspective and some of the lessons he's learned on his journey and path to building such successful businesses. Evan's one of the best speakers I've ever seen. I aspire to be as well spoken as he is. So if for no other reason, you guys need to watch this video, just be impressed based upon his speaking skills. Enough about me bragging about Evan though. Let's just dive into today's video with the real Evan Stewart.
Evan's unparalleled competence emerges from his experience building multiple 7- to 8-figure companies. His work alongside powerful influencers, professional athletes, high-level executives, and political leaders has helped shape the future of business and has had an impact across the globe. Through a unique blend of professional, personal, and spiritual development, Evan Stewart is sought after for sound counsel regarding clarity, purpose, giftedness, calling, and obsession. In addition to his expertise in scaling companies and driving profits for small, mid-market, and corporate organizations, simply put, Evan's work transcends cultural, physical, economic, and spiritual boundaries to stir the soul of the people and businesses with whom he works. As the founder and chief evangelist for Obsessed Academy, Evan helps others build a life they can be obsessed about through private events, hosting thousands of world changers at the Obsessed Conference, and impacting lives through the Obsessed podcast, speaking to the world's most forward-thinking companies and more. This is Evan Stewart.
So we're so excited here to have our brother, Evan Stewart. Evan has been with us real quick at our previous boot camps that we do, because we do boot camps. We were doing them every month until the COVID thing happened. Evan's been such a powerful part of our community, so engaging, so helpful, and just being able to really bring it home for a lot of folks who need help with, their mindset, need help with tactical. This guy's an absolute beast, so we're so happy to have him. So brother Evan, welcome to the virtual summit, man.
So glad to be here. Glad we could make this work. We talk about the beauty of what you're doing, and why I'm always so excited to be in stuff like this is because real estate by default is about switching and navigating ebbs and flows. And this is the most physical manifestation of navigating ebbs and flows to where we can still put on a really good and valuable opportunity for your community to learn, online. So this is really cool. Thank you. I love it,
man. Well, we're going to give you the stage and let you take it from there. Guys and girls, get ready. This is very powerful. I told you before, Evan's already sold multi-million-dollar business. And, this guy is 26 years old, I believe still 26. And just an absolute stud at his age. There's going to be an amazing, next half an hour with my man, Evan. So Evan, take the stage, man, and do what you do best. Folks, let's go.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. If we haven't yet had the opportunity to meet, well, first of all, that's my fault and responsibility, but I'm glad that we're here now. man, I'm excited to be here because Ben and Matt, what they're going to do with their tactical breakdowns of real estate. My business was a real estate business, so I have experience in how to navigate that market, and they really are quite gifted at an ability to break it down. But when we were discussing this and they said, hey, we'd like to bring you on and talk a little bit about some of the things that you've done. First of all, I always like to give recognition that it's not just one individual. You know, one thing that Ben and Matt have that we can all focus on is that it is a team, right? It's great people around you in your environment that are also helping you. But Ben just mentioned that he wasn't born with a silver spoon in his mouth. Now, I wasn't born in communism, but when I was building my companies, I had no money. I had no resources. I had no connections. I just had a drive. And Matt, in his YouTube video, we talked a little bit about what that was like actually starting from there. And I really hit a low point in my life where I was forced to look at my life and to start analyzing and evaluating what was working and what wasn't. I needed to make sure that I was building something significant and sustainable in the long run. And I recognized that that I wasn't. My low point was breaking down in the Target parking lot because I wasn't able to buy groceries and I was scared about the rent coming up. And then from there, I had an opportunity to build and exit a really large and significant business before I hit 30. And so looking back in my life, there's one important thing, one factor above all else that can help you get dialed in. One thing. It's not a get rich quick strategy. I don't believe in those. I don't want to get rich quick. I want to get rich for sure. It's not a your life will be better strategy. On the contrary, I don't want my life to be comfortable. I want my life to be hard. It's the system that you can implement and incorporate to allow yourself to move through the ebbs and flows with the grace of space and precision that allows you to come out ahead, regardless of the economy, regardless of what's happening at home or happening in your work. It's the strategy that I figured out and implemented in my life, and it's called obsession. And the interesting thing about a conversation like this where it's camera to camera is I can't exactly see reactions from here because I'm looking into that tiny little dot on my computer, but I know that you've probably heard of obsession before, right? In fact, you're probably thinking of it. So when I say obsession, that thing you think about that hits in the little back of your mind is probably not so good. Now, some of you, maybe, you think, well, I kind of like that word. I might have heard a couple of other people throw it around, but typically when we're explaining obsession, we need to explain what obsession is not. And the reason that I use this word obsession is because obsession starts with an all-consuming passion. And as I was trying to go back through, I believe we have these little moments in our life called threads of consistency. They're moments where we touch a consistent part of our calling, our giftedness, and our purpose. A core sense of our humanity, what drives us every single day, whether or not we care to bring words to it. And for me, I recognized I would dive deep into things that I was passionate about. I mean, really deep, passionately deep, obsessed. I would get really deep into the things that I so cared about, whether it was friends, family, relationships, whether it was work or music. My first obsession was classical piano of all things. And then that I ended that when I had learned a really interesting piece, Chopin's Grand Polonaise in E-flat major for classical piano. Took almost 940 hours of practice. That's obsessed to get really deep. But when most people think of obsession, they typically think of what it's not. So if you're taking notes, I want to walk you through what it is and what it isn't so you can better understand how it plays into the rhythms of your life. Because I believe that there's a state that most people live. And if you're on this stream, you're probably in this state too, because you're looking for answers. People don't plug into webinars to find answers that they already know. They plug in because they want to grow. And people that are living in that gap, I call living in the gap of ambiguity. It's a fog around you where you can't quite pinpoint where to go next. That's why you start to search and you plug into things like Cashflow Tribe. That's why you hit up Matt McKeever's YouTube channel. You start to say, man, I see how he's doing deals. I'm sitting here in this office, but I'd really like not to be. I'd love to have a little bit of stability. Maybe I don't want to be a multi-millionaire, but I'd love to have $2,000 a month coming in so that way I know my rent is paid, my mortgage is paid, my kids eat. The way that starts is with a recognition of obsession. And if you're thinking negatively, I want you to write this down, that there's two types of obsession. We have a healthy obsession and we have an unhealthy obsession. This is where it begins, okay? The unhealthy obsession is extremely important to note This is a linear movement, a start, a movement, and an end. Unhealthy obsession is typically what people think of when they think of obsession. Unhealthy obsession is mania. It's fear. It's anxiety. It's diving deep into one thing, but it's typically overcoming and running away from feelings of obsession, negative feelings, inadequacy, shame, guilt, abandonment, anxiousness, stress, fear. And I know I'm kicking off a real estate webinar by talking about things like shame. We're not going to go deep down that depressive rabbit hole, trust me, but we need to understand that this is the reality of a lot of our lives. And in preparing for this, it was interesting. I was talking with some people in my network, and I had recognized that there was a man in my network who was married, a beautiful wife and a lovely family. And unfortunately, over a period of time, his wife left him for another man that was significantly wealthier than he was. And money was a big part of his life. And so it's interesting because as he's moving through this changing season in his life, he's looking at his life and he goes back into work and he's working hard every single day. Maybe you're in a similar rhythm. You're just diving into your work because you don't know what to do. COVID's got you locked indoors. So now you can't leave your work. So you go deeper into your work. And now it's 18-hour days instead of 9-hour days because you just got to move and everything else is falling apart. So you got to keep it together. You're diving into your work. He's diving into the gym. When he's not at the work, he's at the gym. There are two places you could pick up the phone and call him. Where would I find him? He's either in the office or in a second office. And see, from the outside looking in, you look at that and you think, man, he's starting to get healthy. He's getting his money right. He's getting his body right. He's getting his mind right. That's an unhealthy obsession. Because actually what it is it is a linear movement, a forward direction, but it started from needing to overcompensate and overcome those feelings of shame and guilt and inadequacy and abandonment. And he moves. Here's the thing about an unhealthy obsession. Always, it ends in a lack of fulfillment and regret. 100% of the time, an unhealthy obsession will end in a lack of fulfillment and regret. The reason why this is important is because we need to bring recognition, because if you are on that path of an unhealthy obsession, it does not end in prosperity and positivity. But see, the beautiful thing about an unhealthy obsession is that every coin has two sides. While we do have this moment and this recognition of this experience that's unhealthy, right? If you think of obsession and you think of addictions and you think of, what media is putting out as mania, that's unhealthy. All of that's unhealthy. But there's another side of that that's a healthy obsession. And this is where we begin to shift. And so if you're taking notes, I want you to write this down. We talked about unhealthy obsession is a linear movement. Healthy obsession is a cycle. It's a 3-part cycle. Healthy obsession has 3 different components that, when worked properly, give you a rhythm, natural rhythm in your life to actually produce significant results. Maybe real estate isn't your end goal. Maybe it is a means to an end and not the end. And once you get to real estate, there's something else that you want to do, but you need a lot of capital to do it. And this is the vehicle to actually get there. Maybe you're in a situation where you're looking at your life and you're trying to figure out where you're at, and there's anxiety in your life because you think you should be reaping, but in reality, you're in a different part of that cycle. Healthy obsession first starts with emotion. I want you to write this down. Emotion is the stage of revelation. This is where it begins. Could be one of the reasons why you're on this call. Because a revelation is not getting hit in the face with a freight train. Like, oh my gosh, boom, we've got this new future. Revelation is gentle and consistent. Revelation is a little gnawing on your soul. Revelation is not the entire sky opening up and God in his booming voice screaming down, you need to go into this or do this. Revelation is that tiny little thing inside of you that when you go home and you talk to your spouse, you say, gosh, my time here is getting really, really hard to stay in this cubicle. It's you coming in just thinking, I really think I need to get into real estate. I really think I need to get into music. I really think we need to make some content. Revelation is a gentle and consistent gnawing at your soul for a long period of time. That's how obsession starts. This obsession is an emotion and it begins with a period of revelation.
CashFlow Tribe. I am a real estate agent. I've been an agent for 2 years. I've been an investor for 5 or 6 years. I can talk real estate all day, and I do. And it bores my friends. They're in that mindset where it's like, oh, well, you'll never be successful.
I already own a few properties, but these guys weren't like just trying to sell you a dream. Like they're investing in you, and you want you to invest in yourself too. So I saw that, so I decided to come at the boot camp and see what it's all about, and I'm glad I did. And I think Cashflow Tribe opens you up to a lot more possibilities, and I want other people just to even see it, right? So they can believe it for themselves.
I just want to learn from people who are already doing it. Instead of trying to learn on my own, why not come to the people who are doing it and are successful at it?
I have 4 houses, cash flowing right now. When you have the connection with the people that are doing the same thing as you are, it's just extremely powerful. Even if you think that you know everything about real estate, you don't. You know, like meeting new people, like you always hear different stories. And you know, like having 15, 20, 30 people with different mindsets, they have different experiences, you know, like that's so powerful. And meeting this people, like for me, it's priceless. It's priceless.
Coming in just thinking, I really think I need to get into real estate. I really think I need to get into music. I really think we need to make some content. Revelation is a gentle and consistent gnawing at your soul for a long period of time. That's how obsession starts. This obsession is an emotion, and it begins with a period of revelation. The first step in the cycle is the emotion. The next step in the cycle is the mindset. Obsession is first an emotion, it's second a mindset. Mindset is a stage of preparation. This is important, write this down. Preparation can take the most time. The reason why this is important to recognize is so many of us are trying to reap what we've been sowing when in reality the field is still dry. So many of us are trying to think, oh, we should have been there by now. I did one deal. Where's my financial freedom? Right? You're going to have amazing speakers. Chris is going to come on. Matt and Ben are going to walk you through additional opportunities and structures and strategies, and you're going to walk away empowered and informed. You're going to start making offers like Matt McKeever says and take action. You're going to hear some of the in-depth strategies that Chris Rude uses to do wholesale deals. And you're going to think, I'm ready to go. You do one deal. Where the hell is my financial freedom? You're not ready yet because you're still planting seeds. Preparation can look like a week or a month or years. My series of preparation when I was in real estate took 7 years. Everybody talks about the after. Oh, you're 26 years old and 25 years old and 24 years old and you've successfully accomplished building this business. What they don't see is driving a car that I didn't like, not being able to afford food, breaking down in the parking lot of a grocery store because I couldn't evaluate how to properly manage my life. And I'm moving houses, starting to move into bigger houses. And as a real estate agent, I was selling houses with closets bigger than my entire apartment, having to come back home and still feel that it could still be done. That's preparation. Preparation can take a long time. It is a long obedience and a forward momentum for a long period of time. That's the second stage of obsession. Obsession is first an emotion, which is a revelation. Obsession is second a mindset, which is preparation. That's the second step in the cycle. The third is the discipline, which is the stage of cultivation. This is why this is important. Cultivation is where you finally get an opportunity to reap what you've been sowing. Cultivation is a glimpse into that better future. The reason this is a cycle, emotion, mindset, discipline, is because the second you're in that cultivation, you typically link right back to revelation. So think back in your life. We've all had these moments of cultivation. Cultivation does not mean that life gets amazing. Cultivation is a moment. The longest periods of cultivation I've ever had have lasted just a day or two. Cultivation is where you finally get that new platform. You finally get to reap a little bit of your labor. Things finally start coming together. And then immediately you think, I can probably do more. One of my favorite sayings by Ben and Matt as they've been working through Cashflow Tribe is that the entire goal in fundamental is to turn a ceiling into a floor. That's a moment of cultivation. It's when you do one deal and you think, wow, I finally did my deal. I feel really good about myself. And then immediately, I bet I could do that again. Cultivation, boop, right back to the emotion, which is the revelation. This is why it's important to note, is because I want to challenge you and I want to push on you a little bit. I'm going to build in some grace and some space to where you're at in your journey. Because so many of us are stuck in preparation. And the reason that we can't cultivate is because we're busy looking for opportunities to reap, when in reality, we've got a bag of seed that we still have not finished planting and watering and growing. The way that you actually grow is you dive deep into stuff like this. You dive deep into personal and professional development. You know everything you can know. When I jumped into real estate and I was 18 and a half, 19 years old, when I finally got my license, I didn't know anything. I was bold enough to be risky, challenging enough to be vulnerable with myself to know when I had failed. And I knew that education was the only way to overcompensate for a lack of experience. If you don't have experience, the very first thing you can do is get educated. The beauty of it is it's usually free or very inexpensive. Sure, you can plug into high-level masterminds, but you have to be able to speak the vernacular that you will be moving into before you can plug in and actually be competent. That's still preparation. So this cycle, we have an emotion, we have a mindset, we have a discipline. We have a revelation, we have a preparation, we have a cultivation, and it works consistently. We work, we have a revelation, we can do more, we work our land, we educate, we get better, we connect, we do deals, we learn, we make many, many offers, we fail, we try, we get back again and again and again every single day. We get to cultivate. You get one deal, and now you pop back in the cycle, and then a couple of months later, you get your second deal, and then now your third deal. It's not a single family, it's a fourplex, and now you get the next deal, and then you keep working it and working it and working it. That cycle works consistently, obediently, and diligently over a long period of time, produces the final piece that I call saturation. Saturation is obsession overflow. And this is the beauty of it. We have revelation, we have preparation, we have cultivation, worked consistently. That's the only way to get to saturation, the obsession overflow. Saturation is where you start to hit that level of wealth that you actually feel comfortable with. There's a difference between being rich and being wealthy. You've got to have those thresholds. I'd love to make 100,000. I'd love to make 1 million. I'd love to make 5 million, whatever it is. But wealth it starts to cross the line to indestructible. Now that's what a lot of people are potentially chasing. But notice I'm not just talking about finances here, because I know some people that are extremely wealthy in their life and they are not sitting on a $20 million checking account. I'm talking about wealth in your personal life, about being able to go home to a family that actually supports and loves you and is excited to see you when you walk through the door. I'm talking about your finances, where you don't feel stressed when we get into a COVID market because you know deep down this is what you've been working for. I'm talking about your spiritual life, where you have the headspace necessary. If you're of a specific faith and religion, you've got a discipline and going back to that every single day. I'm talking about your professional life, to where you feel inspired, fascinated, and motivated to go to work every day and not default back to a draining scenario. The reason why I'm giving this very big overview about what this cycle actually looks like is because so many times when I'm working with people, yeah, we can get deep into strategy and here are the 3 tips you need to do to get better. But as I'm working with individuals time and time and time again, we have to first address the fundamental component of where they're actually at. Because the most successful people I have ever met and had the chance to work with, a lot of household names that individuals are throwing around right now, I know these people. We've had a chance to get together and work together. The most successful people are obsessed consistently, emotion, mindset, discipline, worked over decades of time, and then eventually they fall into the stage of saturation. And the reason why you can challenge yourself with these steps and apply this to your life is because if you just have this fundamental tracking system for how you move, it gives you a little bit of freedom to start reaping opportunities when they're in your environment. So a great example that I used, I was on an interview a couple of months back, and an individual had called in and said, you know what, that sounds great, really idealistic, whatever. I wanna be in music. I'm a rapper, I feel like it's my gift, but I'm working at 7-Eleven. I'm checking out people at the convenience store because as much as I love being in the studio and I love making beats and I love doing all of this, I don't have time. I got kids with mouths to feed, and I'll be damned if I'm going to pursue music and leave my family on the curb. And I respect that because life can get in the way. So he's like, yeah, this emotion, this mindset, this discipline. Yeah, we're having these great conversations, but I am at a convenience store, not in the studio. Like, help. What do I do? See, here's the beauty of it. Preparation, you can typically be called before you're prepared, right? You can be called to be that real estate investor before you are competent. Calling and competency do not equally align. That's why you might be here. This may be the first interaction you've ever had with the concept of obsession or with this concept of financial freedom through real estate. You might have been called to move before you're competent. Revelation occurs before you're actually prepared most of the time. That's why we have the second stage of preparation. Called before you're competent. Going back to that example, speaking with that individual, I said, right, this is where we're in that season of preparation. Planting seeds for a different season doesn't necessarily look like the environment you're expecting right now. That time working at 7-Eleven, maybe you're even in a similar scenario. I gotta work. I can't move. That time when you're in this season, maybe that's an opportunity to check out 200 people and practice making really impactful 30 seconds or less conversations with individuals that don't actually have weight on your future. So that one Friday you get away and you get to go to the club and you get to drop that new record and there's a producer there and it's super loud and you've got a long line of people and you only have 30 seconds to make an interaction, you're prepared for it. Because that time at the convenience store that you were just thinking, I'm just wasting my time and I'm wasting my life, you were put there in that place to be called away from it. But first you had to be in the season of preparation, which is to learn the tips, the tricks, the strategies to actually making an impact. So when you were put in the place to make an impact, you could do so instead of sacrificing the better future because you neglected to plant in the season that you were supposed to be growing and not reaping. This is the cycle of healthy obsession. Emotion, mindset, discipline. Revelation, I'm called to music. Preparation, I'm stuck at the convenience store. I'm going to learn how to make an impact in 30 seconds or less. Cultivation, hey, Mr. Producer, you like that record. Let me tell you why this is important and why you need to hear more. The season of your life that you're in right now might not be exciting. It might be tense. It could be really great. It can always be better. Regardless of where you're at, you're always in that cycle somewhere. Very rarely do we meet people that are actually in saturation. Most people are still continuing to work this. I'm in a season of preparation right now. That real estate company, yeah, I built a multi-8-figure book of business, $35 million book of business in real estate. I exited that. I went into a different company. I was called elsewhere. 4 years prior, before I made that exit, I was called elsewhere. It scared the crap out of me. It's not your life is going to be amazing. It's a consistent, diligent rhythm to move deeper in alignment with your calling and your purpose. Because I believe that people who are living in default, that are living in burnout, usually it stems from a misalignment between a calling and a daily activity. So here are the rules for obsession. And this is so important because if you actually commit yourself to identifying where you're at in the cycle, working the cycle, getting educated, getting prepared, and moving away from the things you've defaulted to the things you've been called to, 3 things are going to happen. And this is where we get real. This is not, oh yeah, here comes the unicorn with your pile of cash. This is that obsession and working that and living that. It gives and it costs and it breaks. Obsession will give you, and that cycle will give you immense freedom. Immense freedom. Don't you know that Ben and Matt don't have to be on this call right now? I know that. I know Ben and Matt. They don't have to be on this call right now. They're doing so because they have the freedom to make decisions. The first thing is the positive, freedom. Take the family on vacation when you're allowed to get on a plane again without feeling the guilt of, I've got $2,000 left. How do I disperse it? It gives immense freedom. It gives undeniable opportunity. That's where that obedience in the same direction, exciting, fascinating, and motivating are my 3 qualifiers. When you're working that cycle, it opens your eyes to opportunity because now you're able to understand the season in which you've been planted. Obsession also gives you powerful testimony because a life that's never pressed on is usually a life that's not exciting to speak about. And the first thing that happens is it tenses the world around you because you challenge the world you defaulted to. Obsession gives immense freedom, gives undeniable opportunity, and gives you a powerful testimony. It also costs, and this is where it starts to get a little expensive. Sometimes people think it might cost too much. It costs your relationships. This is a big one. This is a big one. Because what happens is you have to release those who are infectious to your calling and your obedience to be diligent to it. I don't know what those relationships look like, but I know that it is damn hard to be in love with something and moving towards something and come home to a spouse that absolutely doesn't want you to do that. I really feel like I need to quit my job. Why the hell are you doing that? Who told you? I really think that I need to be over here, that I can impact here. I don't like how I'm living. You know what? Maybe you should just keep sacrificing for your family. I had somebody in my real estate company who worked in that scenario. She was so gifted, so gifted. She could have been amazing, but her husband didn't want her to work. And she loved him so much that she didn't. Because the cost of that relationship was so high, it was not worth it. And I respect that. I'm not saying we have to distance ourselves from those that we deeply love. I'm saying it will cost you relationships, whether it's immediate people, whether it's people that are 1 or 2 degrees removed, at some point it will cost. It costs usually your financial security. Moving out of my real estate company into the startup of Obsessed Academy cost me a pretty damn stable income. Cost financial security. See, here's the beautiful thing is that the demands of obsession are total trust. But in order to get total trust, you have to be moved through seasons of wilderness where you're no longer allowed to trust the things that are breaking your humanity. It costs relationships, it costs financial security. The most important thing, and this is the hardest for a lot of people, is it costs your self-proclaimed identity. Divine purpose and self-fulfilling actions are contrary in nature. Matt McKeever was working the books. He was a CPA. Ben Humble was just your average mortgage and real estate guy, wearing a sweater vest, right? Now look at him. I was the real estate guy. It cost me that self-proclaimed identity to where I had to be comfortable with the new season I was moving into. My question is your identity grounded in people's perceptions of your actions or your ability to move deeper into your calling? See, when it costs that immediate identity, it typically breaks off from the job title and breaks into your humanity. No longer was it, I'm the real estate CEO. Now it's I'm a challenger, a teacher, and a grower. And my identity is deeply ingrained in how I can challenge without being challenging, teach others to do better, and grow the lives around me. Everyone's life should be better because it's touched, our lives have touched each other. That's a fundamental rule. So obsession costs your relationships, your financial security, your self-proclaimed identity. And finally, obsession breaks. The first thing it breaks is your poor habits, because by default, that cycle is a killer of mediocrity. You cannot live an obsessed life and go back to being complacent. I love Tiger King. You can watch it, right? I love this obsession with Tiger King, but at the end of the day, if you're spending your life diving into that narrative, you're not going to be able to dive into the narrative of your calling and your gift. It is contrary in nature. Obsession breaks your complacent mindset, because the first thing you have to adjust is the mind before you can adjust the body, which then moves the spirit. Obsession breaks your arrogant spirit, because you must shed your lesser self before you can build a prosperous future. The cycle gives, costs, and breaks. I want you to think about this concept that a dead branch will never produce new life. You have to be pruned down before you can bear fruit. And if you haven't been bearing fruit metaphorically in your life right now, that could be because you're not pruned down. That's where the cycle comes in. The emotion is that time of pruning. Mindset is that time of growing. And the discipline is that time of blooming. So as you look at where you're currently at in your life and in these seasons, I encourage you to apply the rhythms of your life back to this cycle. Give yourself the grace and the space and allow yourself to be vulnerable with the intensity of living in obedience to a healthy obsession. Because what happens is when you finally break off of the you that you've defaulted to, it finally gives you an opportunity with new life and refreshed vision, inspiration, fascination, and motivation to dive deep into that truest version of yourself, which at the end of the day is what people are looking for. It's what your business is looking for, and that's what your friends and your family are looking for. And so if you take away one thing from this, it's ultimately at the end of the day, yes, you're going to get tons of strategy, right? You're going to get tons of application, but you got to get yourself right before you can get the business right. Because what people don't see on the other end of me building that really significant business, I got a lot of recognition for it, because they didn't see a man who was tired. They didn't see a newlywed man who didn't have time to see his wife. They didn't see a friend that couldn't be present. That's not a life that's worth living. So as you apply the strategy, remember what you're applying it for. At the very beginning of this, Ben and Matt talked about your why. Remember what you're applying it for. The best way to define that, in my opinion, is this cycle of healthy obsession. So Ben, Matt, thank you very much, as always, my friends, for allowing me to hop on. I know you guys have some really great speakers this afternoon, so have an amazing, amazing afternoon.
Evan, thank you so much, man. Just such a pleasure having you. Folks, can we give them a big just thumbs up or whatever you got over there? It's always so important. So just hang on for a second. It's always so important to reflect on why we're doing this at the end of the day. Because truthfully, remember we talked about the nuts and the bolts and the tactics. And yes, they are important to implement. But if you don't truly understand why and what you're trying to accomplish in life. And one thing you said, which I just love, is that it's okay to be obsessed. In fact, you need to be obsessed. I think sometimes we're just too comfortable, and that's why we don't do it. We need to become more obsessed behind what we want. Grant says, be obsessed or be average. And I agree with that concept, but I love how you just broke down. This is a healthy and an unhealthy obsession. So folks, double down on yourself. You are the asset, not the real estate. Double down on yourself, your education, your willingness and ability to invest in yourself is directly tied to the income that's going to come from it. So Evan, I'm so thankful. Folks are giving just a massive, massive thanks. Make sure you follow my man, Evan. We're going to have some information. Some of you guys need some more of this. Again, the mindset is so critical. There's only so much we can compress into one weekend to give you. So that's why I'm asking you here. If this is something that resonates with you, you need to come join us at Cashflow Tribe. This is what we're all about. Mind, body, spirit, all of it. And the income is a byproduct of who you become.
Thanks again, Evan. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you got value from this, what I need you to do is jump over and give Evan's YouTube channel some love. So we'll throw a link in the video description down below, but he's really starting to up his YouTube game and he would love for your support. So I would love to see you guys show him some love. It's a lot of love. It's a bit of a love fest. But anyways, if you guys enjoyed this video, smash the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new to my channel. If you guys enjoyed this is really just the tip of the iceberg about what Cashflow Tribe Alpha is all about. If you haven't checked us out, we literally have a 14-day free trial. Don't like it, no harm, no foul. Just cancel in the first 14 days and you won't be charged a penny. No cancellation fees, no BS, no hidden charges. This hasn't been a 4-year-long con, me making my YouTube channel just to try and get 60 bucks from you. So really guys, if you haven't checked us out, give us a chance. We've got hundreds of hours of curated content. We do 6 live weekly training shows. I do 3 of them myself. Adam Martin from my team does one. Ben Hummel, CEO, does one. His wife, Andrea, she does one as well. It truly is a unique community. I'm really proud of what we're doing. And the fact that we've had such buy-in from successful entrepreneurs like Evan. Evan's on our board of advisors for free just because he loves what we're doing here. And I think he, in a way, wants to replicate it with his Obsessed Academy. So again, if you guys haven't checked out Obsessed Academy or any of Evan's stuff, I really encourage you. We'll have links in the video description down below. But otherwise, just check out Cashflow Tribe. Give us a shot. I mean, what do you got to lose? Thank you guys. Really appreciate you watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.